Welcome to the LREI Property Management Owner Portal Walkthrough Part 1, where we're going to cover how to break down your rental owner statement you receive each month, go into your system, and get some details behind all of the charges. So to start, if you need access to this portal, email us. We'll send you a link if we haven't already, or if you've lost your password, email us. We'll send you a link to reset your password. Once you're logged in and you have access, this is the screen that you'll come to first. It's the Rental Owner Financials tab, which is here. You'll want to go over to the Reports section. Once you click on Reports, it's going to bring you to a landing page where you can see we have a lot of reports already available for you. These are built-in reports from our property management software. I've went ahead and starred a few across that are important up top here. They're going to be covered in Part 1 and Part 2 of videos. But for this video, we're only concerned with the rental owner statement. And we're only going to cover one other part, which is under accounting. There's a section called bills. There's also a report called unpaid bills. You can use either one. But for this one, the rental owner statement, we're going to start here. Each month, we send you a period ending statement, which is a rolling 30 days. Since we do the payouts on the typically around the 14th, and then send you your owner statements on the 15th. You can go in, this being November 28th, I want to go back to the November 14th period ending, and I want to turn on my transaction details. Now, this won't be filled in by default, so make sure that you check that and include inactive properties. They could always have some sort of balance remaining on them if the tenant just recently moved out. So as I scroll down, I come to the first part, which is the summary by property. And I don't have a lot of detail that I want to get into about an individual property, so I'm going to scroll all the way to the right, and I want to look at my portfolio and all my properties. The very first thing I notice is that I have income, I have an owner contribution, and I have other additions to income. Now, if I want detail behind that, I'm going to see it later down the page. And then I have my expenses, my owner draws. My owner draws the amount that should be the amount that I was paid out this month. $14,065 went to my bank account from the property management company. And then other subtractions, which will be later shown in this statement. You have so my balance right now, my ending cash balance, $12,198.17 of my money. If I was to close my account with LREI today, that would be the amount of money that I would be expecting to receive, less any outstanding bills, which we'll get into here shortly. Below that is your $10,540 is the tenant-held security deposits that we hold in a trust account and non-commingled funds separately. But it is still the money that would be due to you and attributed to your property for you to distribute should you leave the company. That's the amount of money that's sitting there for you. And then your property reserve. Your reserve is the amount that we keep per property, and that helps cover the bills from the 15th of the month when you get paid out till the beginning of the next month coming out. And even though we might not pay out that amount during that 15-day window, it really gives us to go ahead to do some work before you have to send us money. Since we already have money here, if, say, there's a broken vanity in the bathroom that's going to cost around $450, I won't need to go in and contribute funds for you to start the work, because you have to fund the work before it begins when dealing with maintenance and property manager and our vendors. That is the property reserve amount, so I have $1,600 in cash sitting there. And then available for payment, if I was to take another payout right now, in theory, I would have $58.17 ready to pay out for this month. Keep in mind that's less than the outstanding bills that I have, and I do have some outstanding bills currently. So the most important number that you are probably concerned with is how much money is available for payout. If I log in on the 14th, 13th, or 10th of the month and I kind of want to see how much money is going to be paid out to me, I could go here, pull a rental owner statement, and I would pull that year to date, or even further back. I would use a custom date range. If you've been with us more than a year, use a custom date range, but year to date's pretty good starting point if you haven't been with us for a year. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to the right here, and I say, okay, I've got $369.12 just hanging out there right now, in theory, that I should be getting paid if there was a payout today. The next thing that I want to look at is I want to go to my accounting section, look at my bills, see what other bills are out there, and that will help me better understand how much money I'm going to get paid. Because prior to the 14th, we pay all the bills that are outstanding that we can with the vendors, and we have them on net 30 terms, so we try to hold them off for that month and then pay them prior to your payout. And then that's why you would see a reduction in the amount of money between the 10th and the 14th when you get the payout if you haven't accounted for bills. So let's just scroll down a little bit further here. Year to date, these numbers are a little bigger now because we're looking at year to date, but rental income, you can see here, I've also got some Section 8 income. And cleaning and maintenance income, that line item needs to be renamed, but it's generally the cleaning and the maintenance that has to happen when your tenant moves out and there's property damage. So it's counted as income because those are forfeited security deposits that come to you. So all in all, for this year, I've only had $407 in damage, which is pretty good. I must have some good tenants right now, so thank the office for that. Cleaning, so now you get into your expenses, cleaning and maintenance, and then you've got depreciable expenses, your fill fees if we have to fill a vacant unit, and then labor broken down by the internal LREI property management maintenance person who handled it. You've got management fees for year to date on all properties in the portfolio, your repairs, and then we generally try to categorize. The repairs that would be here are general, but we now have broken them out, and about halfway through the year, you're not going to see this line item anymore. You're going to see repairs, animal pests. We break them out into categories so you can see which category you're spending money on. There's also a category for depreciable expenses, which is up here. $406.50 was spent on some sort of depreciable expense, most likely a window or something of that sense to be at that amount, but we can get more detail on it. We classify it with depreciable expense according to how your accountant needs to see it. So if it's an appliance and it's a 10-year depreciable expense, it'll be that line item will be a 10-year. If it's a window or door, it's going to be at the 27.5 years. Any other just general depreciable expense that's not categorized 27.5. But there's different levels depending on if you have carpet or what that item is, and roofing and all such. So then you have your utilities total expenses, and then total expenses combined. So your total expenses, $37,714, subtracted from your total income, $78,181.43, is going to leave me with a net of $40,466.84. Now that money, if I want to know truly if I'm profitable, the next step for me at the end of each year is I'll log all of this information in one transaction in my QuickBooks account. You can do this monthly if you like, but I just do it yearly. And then that shows me, I'll get the breakdown by the property from my rental owner statement because I have it all here. The breakdown's all here by property. Put it into my QuickBooks and log it in there. And then my QuickBooks will also show the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payments that I made on my properties. And then I will truly get to what is my net income for the year. Because what comes out of this net income here that's not shown is your PITI, your principal, insurance, taxes, and interest. So now we get into transaction details, and I'm going to go back up here. I don't want to do year to date. Let's go back to that monthly look. I'm assuming that I've already looked at all my transactions year to date, and I don't want to continually audit every single transaction going back to the beginning of the year. I just want to take a look at what happened during that current month. So I'm doing my period ending report here, and I see my additions to cash. I see that I made some security cleaning and maintenance. That was the security deposit from somebody was moved out, somebody was charged a security deposit, somebody paid a security deposit, and then I got lots of rental income along the way. And your income statement is pretty self-explanatory, but where everybody really has the most interest is your subtractions from cash. These are your expenses. So you see your management fees in here, and you can see what the amount is per property. And then you see your owner draw. That was how much you were paid out per property, and those are pretty self-explanatory. You see that security deposits were moved around because we added a tenant this month. And then you see a little bit of work was done on one of your properties out here. Somebody Joe weekending 1019, and Gary weekending 1019, and then Keith did some stuff. They fixed, looks like they fixed a handrail and a back door lock, and looks like the three of them knocked it out, and looks like maybe 2 hours between all three people, so they must have run through there pretty quickly on a pit stop, including delivery and picking up materials and all of that. So I'd say that's pretty good, about what I expect. 210 North 38th, now I see that this is where I had somebody move in, and I see chargebacks and stop payments. So well, it looked like a check was issued. They had to do a stop payment and then do another refund, do another security deposit release. And management fees, I have a fill fee. The fill fee is for the placement of the new tenant at 210 North 38th, and then I have my owner draws in here sporadically. So those are also expenses because it's outgoing cash, and then you have reached the end of your report. So that kind of explains your owner draw. Now, next steps for is you're going to need to know how to look at some of these work orders that go on here. So I saw on 435 Amy Avenue that we had some work happen on or about the 11th of the month. So I'm going to go up here into maintenance. We're done with this rental owner statement for now. I'm going to go to my work orders, and I kind of want to look at on Amy Avenue what was happening there. And I want to go into completed tasks, most likely. Kind of want to look at the billed amounts. Now, billed amounts aren't exact because it's the amount the vendor billed. And there could be several properties on there, including some that aren't even your own. And when you click on the details, you'll see which items are specifically attributed to your property. But here I see one, 435 at Amy Avenue. Let me go into, let me drop this down by date. All right, handrail 435, it's $87.50 total. I'm going to click on the item because I want to go into it. I see the labor for Gary, Joe, and Keith, which is what I thought I'd seen. It's the price per hour, but then you got your quantities over here on the side. 2.5 hours for installing a handrail. Now, what you don't see here is the material cost, which comes separately. It's generally a Lowe's item. We don't pay those to a later date. We're working to get materials where you can see them on all work orders right there side by side. That's something that owners have requested and we want to get to. But at this time, you're going to have a separate charge for materials in there that you'll see later. Here's the work order progress of what we did. You can see Gary changed the status to completed. Gary's our maintenance supervisor. And then we can see that we assigned it to originally, that add handrail to the front steps. Kim put that in. She's our maintenance manager. And so that's how you research maintenance issues. Let me show you one other item if you want to see the bill somebody submitted. So I'll go into an item that is non-LREI that we assigned out to somebody, say Electrical Solutions here. They handle electrical issue. We want to click View Bill. If they submit a bill to us, there's going to be an invoice. It's going to be in a PDF format. You can see the description. We added a washer circuit, sump pump circuit, 20 amp breaker, 12-2 Romex, single gang, all that such. It's there. But we go ahead and click on the invoice. We can see these are the things that they did, the amount that they charged, and who the vendor was in the invoice. We handle the 1099s and we pre-vet all the vendors, so that's already taken care of. But here I get to see the details of what the bill was. So now you know how to research the maintenance items that are on your reports and what you've been paying for. The last step is let's look at the bills. On the bills page, we want to filter by unpaid only, and then we want to look at all properties. So like I said, we generally are net 30 terms, so we're not going to pay a vendor until the last end of those net 30s. The due date is going to be the invoice date. It's not necessarily the net 30 date that we have with our vendor. So there's are times where we go past due in here, but our vendors understand exactly what we pay them. So then we look at, I've got taxes this month. It's the month of November, so we wait till the end of the month and then we make our payments. And so taxes are come due. I see a lot of line items for taxes. I had some work done on a heater and a couple other items, but I see that I need to pay for these. So these are going to be expenses that I would expect to see on my next statement come through. And that's just looking ahead at things that have already been worked on. Now, anything that's above your set amount of about $250 or $500 if it's electrical for required approval, we're going to email you and get approval from you through email before we do that kind of work. So it shouldn't be a surprise when you see an item in here. And that is how you read your owner rental statements. And in part two, I'll cover how to look at your appliance information, how lease ending report, your rent roll, which pretty much does the same thing as lease ending. It's used by a lot of banks and such, might ask you for a rent roll. And then work orders. You can go into details of work orders and kind of look at the history of them and all. We'll also cover things, you can stop listening now if you like. We're also going to, but the next video is going to cover your properties, your tenants, your outstanding balances or aging report that you've got there. Your leasing, you can look at live listings that we have and applicants that we have for the properties and some of their detail. And property inspections, are you can see that when we do an inspection on a property what the results were, as long as the pictures and the 360-degree cameras that we're using now. And you can view some of the communication, emails, texts that we've had with tenants. Thank you for your time, and that's all for today.